Deep Impact is a 1998 action drama directed by Mimi Leder and starring Robert Duvall, Morgan Freeman, and Tia Leone. As a comet is discovered to be on a collision course with Earth, the human race prepares for the worst. Paramount presents this film for the first time with a new native 4K restoration with Dolby Vision and HDR10. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today guys, I wanted to talk about Deep Impact on 4K. This is one of the latest Paramount releases. I did get this sent to me by Paramount for review, so I am going to do that here today. But look, before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk physical media on this channel. That's what we do. We talk about 4Ks, we talk about Blu-rays, we talk about owning the movies that we love every single day. So if you're into that kind of content, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button and then comment down below what's your thoughts on Deep Impact. Did you pick up this new 4K release? It is currently $19.99. I will be leaving a link down below for purchase. If you do decide you want to purchase this, definitely use that link. It would help support the channel and I would appreciate it. Okay, let's get into it. I do like talking about the movie itself a little bit. Then we're going to get into the audio visual quality. We're going to talk about special features, packaging, you know, all that good stuff. Pretty basic slipcover, but I'll do a little quick unboxing. But so Deep Impact, this is a movie. It's so nice when I get, you know, I do all kinds of like first time watches on this channel, new 4Ks that come in. It's my first time watching them. Just watched The Maltese Falcon for the first time, Rebel Without a Cause. But it's nice sometimes to get a movie in that I've loved since I was a kid. Like I remember watching Deep Impact in the theaters when I was 12 or 13 when the movie came out. I was so into these type of movies when I was a kid. I just loved them. Twister, Armageddon, Deep Impact. And I know there's always a debate between Deep Impact and Armageddon. What's the better asteroid comet disaster movie? To me, it's really hard to pick. They're both so different. I love them for completely different reasons. But I just loved all those movies. Dante's Peak, Volcano, like Independence Day, if you want to classify that as a disaster movie. Like I'm just a sucker for that time period and those action adventure type movies that came out, especially the disaster movies. Like Twister is just one of my all-time favorite movies, but Deep Impact is definitely up there. I would say it's probably in my top 3 of 90s disaster films. And the thing that I love about Deep Impact is, for one, the comet actually hits. It actually makes impact with the Earth, and that didn't happen in Armageddon. So that definitely has something over Armageddon, in my opinion, is that the fact that there's actually like a doomsday scenario that plays out at the kind of at the end of the movie, but you know, it actually happens and you get the big wave and it's such a spectacular, breathtaking sequence. But also I can completely understand why some people will watch this and think it's a little bit slow. I would say that this is the thinking man's disaster movie. This one definitely plays out a little slower than all the other ones. There's not a ton of action throughout the film. It's really more of a character-based drama with all of our characters having to deal with the pending doom of the end of the world. So you have your characters, they set them up very nicely, they establish them, and you kind of just play through each one of their scenarios as the clock is ticking. And another thing I really love about this movie is the way they set everything up. Like it's years in advance. Like they discover the comet. It's like 2 years from when they discover the comet and when the comet actually hits. So you get to see everything just kind of play out. Like the government knowing about it for a full year. And then, you know, the news reporter played by Tia Leone discovers that and she confronts the president played by Morgan Freeman. And that's a whole great sequence at the beginning of the movie. And I just love it. I love the characters in this movie. I love the character building. All the characters feel like they have an arc by the time you get to the end of the film. You have Elijah Wood in this movie, a very young Elijah Wood. He's great. I've always loved him in this movie. Layli Sobieski's in this film as his kind of love interest, girlfriend type characters. She's great in the movie. You have all these different characters and none of them you know, really meet in the movie. Like they don't have that like epic like meeting together like they do in Independence Day. Like they set up all the characters in Independence Day separately, then by the end they all kind of come together. In this movie, they don't really come together. They're all like separate stories. So you have Robert Duvall and the astronauts in space trying to take out the comet. You have Tia Leone as the news reporter, her perspective. Then you have Elijah Wood who discovers the comet and he's just a high school student. So you have all these stories and they don't ever really like merge together, but they're all just equally compelling and you just get drawn into all the characters and the performances. And that's what I love about this movie the most. They make you care about all these characters. And that's what disaster movies post 2000s were just missing for me. Like, you watch a movie like The Core, you watch a movie like Day After Tomorrow or 2012, is they have characters, but you don't care about them because they just jump right into the end of the world stuff. And you don't even get time to really invest in them as characters and their stories. And by the time it gets to like they're dying and stuff, like you don't care. They're in peril. You don't care because you just don't care about these characters. Yeah, the disaster sequences may be cool, it may have good special effects, whatever, but you just don't give a crap about anybody. So I like the way that they did the 90s disaster movies. It just felt like they took more time to develop these characters and just write like compelling stories surrounding all the disaster stuff that was kind of going on. But I would say, look, I understand completely if you watch this and you're like, this is way too slow for me. I get it, but it is really it's a drama movie. It's a drama movie with the looming threat of the end of the world in the background, but the spectacular like sequence at the end with the comet actually hitting is really breathtaking. And there's not a lot of disaster movies that would actually commit to that kind of end of the world scenario like this movie does. So many great, like heartbreaking, heartfelt scenes in this movie throughout. The movie has the actual like balls to kill off main characters, and it actually, you feel the stakes, you feel the weight of everything going on in this movie. I just love it. If you haven't seen Deep Impact from 1998, it's a top tier disaster movie that I feel like just hasn't been met since these movies came out in the 90s. Like, I think Greenland with Gerard Butler that came out a couple of years ago got the closest as far as like modern disaster movies, just kind of capturing what made them so great in the 90s. So yeah, I love Deep Impact. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, to be completely honest. Like, it solidified that, me watching it the other night. Gave it a 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. I just love this movie so much. Let's get into the actual 4K restoration here. So there was a Blu-ray release of this that came out in 2009, and interestingly enough, I looked it up. I think in maybe 2011, Walmart had an exclusive steelbook of Deep Impact on Blu-ray, and I think it's still available on Amazon. You can get like a used copy of it. I almost thought about getting it. But I never owned this movie on Blu-ray. I think the last format I owned it on was DVD, and I think I had it on VHS back in the day. I just remember watching this movie all the time. I had to have had it on VHS, or maybe I just watched it on cable. I don't know. But this was the first time that I had owned this movie since the DVD, and I think I gave my DVD away years ago. So I'm happy to have this movie back in the collection. So I never watched it on Blu-ray. I did pop in the Blu-ray in this edition because there is a Blu-ray copy available, and the 4K and a digital code that's included in this. And I will say, watching both of them, it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade for sure. This adds in the HDR. I think that the colors are definitely more vibrant. The black levels are definitely deeper. You can notice that when you watch it. The facial detail is definitely a lot clearer, a lot more defined, but to be completely honest, it's not a massive upgrade over the Blu-ray. I actually think the Blu-ray looked pretty damn good. So when I was comparing both of them, I thought the 4K looked really good when I watched it, but then I popped in the Blu-ray and I'm like, these both look pretty good. Now the Blu-ray is a little bit more flat as far as like the color tone and just the way that it looks. And you can definitely notice a difference of contrast, the black levels being deeper. You just kind of feel that weight and depth of the film a little bit more. That's the thing that I love the most about 4K, is the HDR and just how it adds such a depth to the movie. But the thing that I was really curious about was the disaster sequences of this film. How are they going to play out? Was 4K really going to do those sequences any favors? And I have to say that I don't think that it does. I think that when you watch the big disaster set piece moment at the end, the wave, the special effects look, I'll be honest, they don't hold up. They do not hold up as good as some of the special effects that come out today, or even some that were like in the early 2010s. Like I think of the movie The Impossible. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Impossible with Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor. Tom Holland, a young Spider-Man, is a great movie. The effect sequences in that movie with the tidal wave that comes in are spectacular, so much more realistic. This is more like big budget Hollywood special effects, of the 90s. Like if you've seen Independence Day, we all know those movies. We watch them now and we're kind of like, that doesn't hold up the best. But when we saw them in the 90s, we were like, holy crap, this is incredible. It's kind of the case here. That big wave doesn't look the best in 4K, if I'm being completely honest. You can kind of, it doesn't do it any favors, I guess. I don't think it's any worse than what the Blu-ray is, but I don't think it's any better for sure. So if you were hoping for the 4K to really enhance that big wave sequence and the comet hitting and all that stuff, it doesn't really do that. Now, I do think that some of the space stuff where they land on the comet and some of that looks really good because that's a darker scene and aesthetic, and the black levels really have a chance to kind of stand out in those moments. And I think that part does look really good. The contrast of the space astronaut suits with that dark surface of the comet, all that sequence looked phenomenal. But again, when you get to that end disaster sequence, I don't think the 4K really does it any favors, in my opinion. You could watch it and feel completely different, and that's kind of the big, drawing point, set piece moment of the movie. So for the 4K to not really enhance that part, I think is a little disappointing. It's a little bit disappointing to me, but throughout, I just think it's a solid 4K. Throughout, it's a really solid 4K. I would say this, if you love this movie, really love this movie, you have it on Blu-ray, I think you're going to want to upgrade because it is the best way to watch this film. Now, if you're kind of lukewarm on it, you're not the biggest fan, you got it on Blu-ray, I think you're good. I think you're good with just your Blu-ray. It's fine. Again, it's not a substantial upgrade, but it is a noticeable upgrade, if that makes any sense. So the 4K to me is pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not blow away. But let's go ahead and jump into the audio. It is the same audio that was present on the Blu-ray. It's a Dolby True HD 5.1, and to be honest, I know it's not Atmos, I know it's not 7.1, but I thought it sounded great. And like I said, this is really a drama movie. There's not a ton of action that happens throughout this film that would necessitate necessarily Atmos, except for that big sequence at the end. But the 5.1 sounded just fine. When that comet flies by and it's getting ready to land, you feel the reverberations, off your sound system for sure. Now, I am just listening to this on a soundbar that has Atmos capabilities, but obviously it's not that full setup, and I do have the subwoofer. So when that comet comes in, it flies in, you feel that for sure. So I think the sound is perfectly adequate. I know it would have been nice if they upgraded. It would have definitely been nice if they upgraded, but for this type of movie, like I said, it's not action all throughout. It's mostly dramatic sequences throughout the movie. It's mostly conversations and dialogue and scenes of people talking to each other. It's not big action set piece after big action set piece. So I don't think it's necessarily necessary for this movie to have that sound upgrade. I think the 5.1 is just fine. Now, getting into the packaging, beautiful slipcover. I really, really absolutely love this slipcover. Great design on it. You have the little, now there's not a moment in this movie where there's a bunch of comets coming down. So that's a little misleading right there. They blow the one up and you see them coming in the atmosphere, but this portrays it as these actually hit. It's kind of like the sequence in Armageddon, to be honest, in the beginning of the movie where all the little asteroids and meteors come down and hit the city. But that doesn't really happen in the movie. It's a little misleading, but then you have the wave, which, does happen in the movie. But really nice slipcover though. I like the colors of the blue of the wave and the water and the fire, and I think it's really cool. And then right there, I'll show you the back real quick. You can see the synopsis at the top, some of the characters, some of the scenes. Kind of scroll up so you can see the specs and all that stuff. You got a nice little, I'll show you a little spine action right there. We'll take it out. And like I said, same artwork that's on the actual case itself, which is cool. Go ahead and open this up. You do have a digital code, and then you have both the Blu-ray and the 4K of Deep Impact. So now getting into the special features, I'm going to complain a little bit. Well, first off, let's talk about how lazy the 4K title screens are right now. In particular for Paramount. I just hate the title screens on most movies nowadays, but in particular Paramount. They're like these almost distorted, blurry images of the movie. And that's it. There's no title. It doesn't even say the title on it. It's just an image. And it's a nice image of the, the comet hitting the earth, but I just don't like it. The Blu-ray title screen on this is much better. It has the actual title of the movie. Are you all as annoyed at the title screens of today's 4Ks as I am? Because it's just getting a little ridiculous to me. But yeah, so the special features in this, none of them are on the 4K. You have to put in the Blu-ray to get the old commentary with Mimi Leader and all the, different special features and all that kind of stuff. There's some cool special features, but I'm pretty sure that most of the special features on here were present on the DVD when it came out. I don't even know if they did anything new for the Blu-ray back in the day. I could be wrong, but I think that all these special features were made for the DVD. At least that's what it looked like to me. I watched a few of them. But there's some good features for sure, but it's always disappointing to me. I always have to call it out. You can't do anything new. This is the 25th anniversary of Deep Impact. Give us some extra features, extra commentaries, some interviews, maybe get Tia Leone to do an interview. They could have got Mimi Leder to come in and talk about this movie, which, by the way, I didn't discuss Mimi Leder enough. I don't think she gets enough credit for what she did in kind of the disaster genre in the 90s. She did the movie Peacemaker with Nicole Kidman and George Clooney. Not necessarily a disaster movie, but I would say disaster adjacent. There is a really good sequence in that involving a nuclear bomb going off. So she did great work in the 90s. Peacemaker is a really good movie. I need to recheck that one out because it's been forever since I've seen it. And Deep Impact is phenomenal as well. And she's done some good work on TV. So Mimi Leder, like, she kind of led the way in disaster movies in that genre in the 90s. I don't think she gets enough credit for that. But yeah, extra features, another commentary, like, we just need something. I mean, these are anniversary editions. You put that on the top, 25th anniversary, like, have some people come back and talk about this movie. Even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, just give us something. Look, guys, Deep Impact on 4K. I'll say this. If you really love this movie, I think you need to get this 4K. It's a really good looking 4K. It looks really good. It did not blow me away, but it looks really good. Again, I will leave that link down below in the description. But thank y'all so much for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on Deep Impact. Will you purchase it? Let me know in the comment section below. Turn on those bell notifications and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.